Hi, I'm Darryl Goodall, President and Founder of Time CFO Services. We provide financial and business advice to small to medium-sized enterprises and not-for-profits within the region. Today's talk is about financing for early-stage startups. There's a number of different ways to help finance your company as you're starting up and you need cash to do it. The first and most logical one people start off is their personal savings. They've saved up a while for their dream and they decided to, I'll put my own dollars on the table. So from a control standpoint on the savings, you control it and you do not need to answer to anyone else. It's your personal decision and you are the president of that lending institution. Next option for yourselves, banks. Generally, they do not invest in companies. They lend against assets. So when the banks, you're talking about your new business, the first question would be, well, what assets do you have that would support that loan? So you may have GICs, stocks and bonds, maybe your house from that end, but depending on your wealth, they'll lend against that asset. They will not lend directly against just your business in the early days. Once your business becomes more mature, is generating profits and has created assets, absolutely they'll be lenders for you, but in the early days, they're usually not an option for you unless you have that personal wealth to leverage. For early stage companies, which is very popular when you do need some money and you ran out of your savings or anything, is the friends and family category. They believe in what you're doing and they're willing to provide a check. Now, from that standpoint, that sometimes might be a check from an equity standpoint within your business. It may be a loan, but usually they're very friendly terms on there. One thing I do recommend is make sure that, as you're having those conversations, you're very transparent with them. You don't want anything that if the business struggles or fails, that this doesn't turn out to be a negative aspect and take that family relationship that was strong into a spot that, it may not be in a good space afterwards. Often new investors will talk about angels or venture capital from that end. I think the first aspect, if you're going to think about that group, is your business needs to be established. And by that, I mean you need to have revenue streams and some track record of your business. Usually an angel or venture capitalist will invest to allow you to grow to the next stage. They'll definitely come in with an equity piece. So one tough piece of going through that exercise is you'll have to figure out a valuation of your business and how much you're willing to sell, and also obviously how much the angel is willing to pay for that space. Another avenue that early stage entrepreneurs use, which is high cost, but definitely quite flexible, is their personal credit cards for financing. The interest rates are high, but it's a quick source of cash when you do need it. It's one that you want to keep in control and knowing that, hey, I need to pay that back, and it is a high source, but it may be just what you need to get over a short hump in your business until cash comes in. There's a number of different government agencies between grants, loans, and even sometimes equity that can come into play. Using your local economic office, there's organizations such as larger ones like the BDC and EDC if you're an exporter. There's the Community Futures Development. There's ones, the Shred Credit if you're into any innovation and investment into R&D type activity. There's IRAP, which is once again more leading edge in regards to technology and new changes that you can go on. There's the OCE, or Ontario Centres of Excellence. Those are just a subset, but you can definitely spend through your local agencies to look and say, hey, what programs might be applicable for our business, and look into those. They are friendly, and generally it's a great spot to be if you do qualify for any of them. For a B2B business, one area that works well for groups if needed is accounts receivable factoring. Once again, this is usually a high cost interest rate item, but that allows you to take your accounts receivable with a large customer and might pay you in 45, 60, or even 90 days. You can take that receivable and the institution will actually pay you at the time of the receivable and charge their fees. Another creative way of financing is looking at both your customer and vendors. The idea here is you want to shorten your cash conversion cycle. So on the customer side, ideally, you want your customer to pay before you render your service or product. So can you get a deposit? Can you get it maybe paid at time of service, rather than having to maybe give them 30 or 60 or 90-day terms? The shorter you can make those days, the quicker the cash comes into your business, then the less need for financing. On the other end, your vendors, your suppliers, rather than paying sooner, hey, can you get those terms out to 45, 60 days? Or if you have a vendor that's looking for cash in advance, can you maybe negotiate and say, well, How about 50% out front and 50% in 45 days on there? So all those tricks of the trade to, once again, extend when your money's going out and get your money in quicker will definitely reduce your need for financing within your company. One item that's slightly new over the last decade is crowdfunding. It's a way of going out there, making a promise to usually future consumers on a future promise. They'll give you money into your business. Sometimes it's product service related. Sometimes you can do it equity-wise. There's organizations that can help you in that journey, but it is one other way for you to look at, hey, does this make sense for my organization? Is the effort worth the money that you can maybe get through that exercise? The best way to finance your business is to have a business that makes money and profits. As your business generates profits, you can take those profits and reinvest it in the business. You may need more capital, you may want to invest in sales, or you know what, you just had some debt you built up in the early days. You can take those profits and pay down that debt. So having a plan to get your business to a stage that it can generate cash through profits is definitely the quickest way. I like to tell people, a business that doesn't generate profits over many years is not a business, it's called a hobby.